So the reading that I wanted to do today for you to follow on from some of the other readings that I've been doing recently is about how to find the right mentor. So if we're confused about stuff in our life right now, we're wondering about what our path is, what direction we're supposed to be heading in, what we're supposed to believe in and what we're not. Everything feels like it's all been scrambled and turned upside down recently. Having a mentor, having a guru or a guide can be really, really useful and really helpful and really comforting. And some people, like people who are deeply religious, for example, then they have they're the God that they believe in as their guide. And that's how they steer their way through their life, and they find great comfort through that. And maybe you have that too. Maybe you don't, but whichever way, having a mentor, whether still earthbound or not, or in the spiritual realm, can be really, really useful in times of confusion and worry, fear, anxiety, stress, conflict, strife, etc., etc. So this reading is going to be about how to find the right mentor. So So the first card that's come up is the King of Wands. Just catching the light, there you go. So the King of Wands is the king, so that is like he is the highest, but the highest creative person, yeah. Like the king is really, the king is like the leader, he rules the kingdom, he is like as high as you can get, so, the king is God or Jesus. Well, Jesus is like the son of God, but you're aiming that high with where you're aiming. And then wands is all about it's about creativity and building things with your hands and artistic endeavors and like embracing art and things like that. So it's like basically the way to find your mentor right now is to look to your creativity, look to what lights you up when it comes to playing and having fun. Yeah, the things that you choose to do to entertain yourself, and then to go to the highest point with that, to find a leader who stands for that, who encompasses that. So, for example, if you are let's take like a relevant example to this. So if you're really interested in tarot and card reading and everything, then you want to find someone to teach you. So maybe it's the person, the artist that created your favorite deck, or maybe it's like to go back to the books and to research, to read the original books that were written on tarot and about symbolism and how to study the tarot and everything. Or maybe it's like everybody that's written a book on tarot and you want to go through all of the different books. Find a leader in that field, in that realm, someone that you consider to be like really, really knowledgeable and influential. And that could be somebody who's dead or alive. You can sit and read their work, you can read about them, you can watch movies about them, etc. Or you can go into a meditative state and try and channel them and try and communicate with them there. You can also use your own cards and try and ask them questions via communication with the deck. So that's just one example, but make that example your own. Take that kind of example as a metaphor for how to find your own guide. And then this card is basically it's saying find someone who's really grounded, who has a really strong root chakra, who's he's connected to the earth, to the ground, in the sense that his information comes from sense. It comes from stuff that has been drawn up out of the earth. It's not all like kind of airy fairy and like magical and created or whatever. It's like based in logic. It has firm foundations. And then like follow your heart, trust your heart in this situation. And if you're struggling, the next card that came up was the Chariot. So it's like if you're struggling to figure out whether this person is the right person or the wrong person for you, it's kind of like look to what they stand for. Do they stand for light? Do they stand for dark? Do they stand for black or white? In that respect, like we have the two different forces here, suggesting choices. But the choices are really, there's a choice of good or evil, or, light or dark, in terms of like energy. And so you want to find like your leader, your guru, and then you have to make your own decision. Do you want to follow the light or do you want to follow the dark? And the dark isn't necessarily bad or evil. Maybe like the light is following somebody who works under the energy of the sun, and the dark is following somebody who works under the energy of the moon, or a feminine energy or a masculine energy. So it's like figure out which one of those two opposites suits you the most, and then basically attach yourself to them. Like this person is like, he's in his chariot, he's in his cart, he's ready to follow someone or something, he's ready to charge off into battle. And this is the person that he needs to follow, so he attaches himself to him and charges off into battle. So figure out who is going to be your king, and the way that you can figure that out is by looking to the wand in this card, and the wand in this card is saying the person who will lead you, the person who will be your guide, will come to you through your creative side, so not your intellect, not your finances and your business, and not your heart and your love life and like kind of like your joy in relationships and everything. Like that it won't come from there. It's going to come from your creativity, your unique talent or craft in that respect. So wherever you are creative in your life, wherever you have a particular skill, so say maybe you're just really good at cooking, so find someone who's a really good cook, a really good chef, or a food writer or whatever, and start there. Make that the beginning of your journey, and that person will mentor you. And maybe it's got nothing to do with cooking, but maybe when you find that mentor, that person whose cooking culinary skills you really, really admire and you would like to aspire to, maybe when you like connect with them and you start listening to them on YouTube, or you start watching their programs on TV, or you start reading their books, maybe you realize that actually they have deep beliefs about X, and then suddenly you realize that you do too, and so you go off in that direction, because everybody has something to teach us. Everybody have their different kind of like paths and the different things that they believe in, the things that they invest their time and effort and money into, and so it's kind of like following a trail of breadcrumbs, really. So you start with where you are creative, where you are the most creative. So if you're like multi-talented creative, then pick the one that intuitively comes to your mind first. Start there, and then find somebody who's like a king, a leader in that realm, and then start researching them, start feeling them out, start kind of peeling back the layers of who they are and what they do, what they stand for, what they believe in, and let them teach you. And maybe you want teaching about the current situation that we're in right now, and this pandemic and the virus, and maybe that's where you need a mentor to figure out like what the heck's going on and what's true and what's false and all of this stuff. But maybe you find that person who can lead you, who can guide you through all of this, or into a different way of working, a different career, because what you were doing before no longer exists. You can find the answers, the way to those solutions through following the breadcrumbs, focusing on your creativity first. Yeah, the thing that stands out to you. Oh, I'm really good at knitting, for example. Okay, fine. So who could be a guide for me in knitting? Okay, well, there's a knitting magazine website online that I really like. So you go there, and then you start reading through the magazine and the back issues. And the first one that you're reading, this article pops out in it of this amazing like textile designer, and you go, oh wow, I love what she does, I love her work. So then you go and you check out her website, and then on her website she's got a blog or a vlog, and then you start reading that or listening to that, and then you realize that, oh my god, she's like talking like so much sense about what's going on right now, and it really resonates with me, and it's so comforting. And so you start listening to that, and then it's teaching you, and it's growing you, and it's holding you, and it's like a vessel for what you're going through, so you can then birth your new self. So the main thing is to start there, and then when you do find a person, this is just a reminder to check in with that new person and make sure they are the right energy for you. Make sure their message is a positive one and not a negative one. Make sure they're going to lead you in the right direction and not back into the wrong direction, or down a wrong route that you've never been down before. Make sure you're always like heading with the sun at your back.